In Lesson 2.8, you applied a CSS style to div tags, but you might be wondering exactly what a div tag is. Div, and the very similar span tags, are used as containers for your page's content in order to apply a CSS style to multiple elements. In this lesson, you'll work with the div tag and its partner, the span tag. First, you'll need to open the HTML test sample file from your sample files folder. Next, open divspantest.aspx in source view. You're now going to add some div tags. Click in the space between the form tags and add the following HTML. Div id equals div1, div1, div id equals div2, div2. If you now switch back to design view, you can see that the two div tags are displayed, but they are on separate lines despite the fact you didn't use any P or BR tags. This is because the div tag automatically starts a new line after its closing tag. You'll also notice that both of the div tags have picked up a background color. This is because there is a CSS style sheet linked to this page, the divspantest.css file. The style sheet contains identifier classes which apply a background color to any tags with the ID properties div1 or div2. Later in this lesson, you'll edit the linked style sheet. You're now going to try out the span tag. Switch back to source view, add a new line after the last div tag, and add the following HTML code: span, span1, span, span2. Switch back to design view, and you can see that the two pieces of text in the span tags are shown side by side. Unlike the div tag, the span tag doesn't add any line breaks automatically. You're now going to use some CSS to set the size of the div2 element. First, open divspantest.css from the styles folder. You can see the identifier classes that have already been created for div1 and div2. To change the size of the div2 element, we're going to add some more properties to the div2 identifier. Width, 300px, semicolon. Height, 300px, semicolon. You might be wondering what the px means at the end of these properties. Px is short for pixels. As you might be aware, your computer screen is made up of thousands of tiny dots called pixels. These measurements tell the user's web browser how to display your page using pixels as a measurement unit. This can cause problems, however, as different users might have more or fewer pixels displayed on their screen. A user with more pixels would see everything appear smaller. To stretch a site to the size of a user's screen, you can use percentage measurements by using the % sign in place of px. There are also two other measurements called em and pt. These set sizes relative to the font in use. Switch back to divspantest.aspx, and you can see that the div2 box has increased in size thanks to your CSS code. Most modern websites use a combination of div and span tags with CSS to create their layouts and style their content. Some ASP.NET controls automatically create div and span tags. You'll see this in action in Lesson 3.1. You've now completed Lesson 2.10. Use the div and span tags.